Queen's Court. We are back with our regular format where we go over last week's games and then preview the upcoming games the Knicks have. Actually, their last two games of the preseason. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime we go live. That includes the Queen's Court, of course, Knicks and Bruises, the controversy, the NBA report with Ron and John from Still Knick Fans, and of course, the season is back upon us. Pre-game, post-game, the morning shoot-around, the coach's corner with the creator of the channel, Simeon Russell. Appreciate you, Sim. Forever grateful. I am joined today by somebody. There's a lot of. All right, maybe DJ Shadow ain't ready. Okay. I'm joined today by Tony Crow. If you haven't already, please subscribe to his channel, Knicks and Bruises, the controversy, Josh Show, right here. On Nothing But Knicks. So if you subscribe, you'll get the notifications for that show as well. Hello, fellas. How are you?
Peace, Queen.
Peace, Queen.
Uncle Fulio, salute.
Salute, Tom. Right. What's going on?
And DJ Shuttle, he'll let us know when he's ready, and we'll let him in. So listen, let's get right to it. With last week's games, I'm not going to go over, like I usually do, give a synopsis. If you're a Knicks fan, most Knicks fans have watched the game unless they had to work or what have you. We played Detroit. Quentin Grimes was out. RJ Barrett, very efficient, 21 points, 5 rebounds, shot 57.1% from the field, 60% from the three-point line, and 100% from the free throw line. He only took 2, but he made both of them. Julius Randle, 15.6 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 assists in like 18 minutes, I believe. Brunson, 16 points, 5 assists, 77.8% from the field, 50% from the three-point line. The Knicks as a whole shot 51.1% from the field and 37.8% from three-point line. Versus Indiana, a little tougher game, though the score doesn't really indicate it. At one point, it was pretty tight. Grimes was still out. Fournier was out in that game. Obi Toppin, we'll talk about him tonight. 24 points, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 4 3-pointers. Barrett, not as efficient as the first game, but still 18 points, 3 assists, hit 4 threes. Again, went to the line twice, made both of them. Brunson, 16 points, 5 assists, did not shoot well. Went to the line 9 times in the first half, hit all 9 free throws. And the Knicks shot 44% from the field and 40.5% from three-point line. Let me call in DJ Schnau. He said he ready. That's what he said. He said he was ready. All right. Let me know again, DJ Shuttle, when you're ready. So, just in general, from those first 2 preseason games, what stood out from you team-wise? And if you want, what stood out for you, if there's any individual that stood out for you in those 2 games? DJ Shuttle, oh, there you go. Yeah, the pick wasn't ready when we put you in. You muted.
Pardon me. I hit the camera switch.
All right.
Using a different computer, you got the switch for the camera and make sure you're protecting your home environment from Alexa and all of them type of people. You know what I mean?
All right. Cool. So we just went over, the stats from the first 2 preseason games, and basically the question is, anything that stood out to you team-wise, or anything that stood out for you, any particular individual stood out over the first 2 games?
I take it with a grain of salt because to me these are both non-playoff teams. So I'm happy to get a great start. I'm happy to have the energy and the excitement. It's obvious. It's hard to not recognize Obi Toppin popping off the screen with the fast breaks and getting the crowd involved and all those type of things. So yeah, Obi Toppin, but without a doubt though, for me personally, Brunson's impact on the team just goes to just show that with a real competent head, the body can follow. And all I can just say is, man, you just imagine if you had Brunson that came to this team last year instead of Kemba Walker. And if this would have been the second year of Brunson, Fournier, and Randle, and Barrett, and Robinson all playing together. So I say that to also say for all the people that are the naysayers of Randle, like, yo, give Randle and give this team a chance with a real, true, competent point guard that can score 15 points or more, can lead the team, can get the ball out of Randle's hands. So for me, it's by far it's Brunson, impact, and I'm looking really forward to seeing how much that plays out in the regular season.
Okay, Josh, and then we'll get to Tone.
Good evening. Queen, I'm not fooled. I'm not fooled by this preseason at all. Listen, the Knicks are playing well. I'm looking at all the assist numbers. I'm looking at the points per game. I'm looking at the pace. It looks very good, very great. My question is, can this translate over to a regular season? And I just don't think that it can. If it does, and they prove me wrong, so be it. But I am not optimistic about this offense going into the regular season. I'm not sure if they can be able to sustain what they're doing right now, because last season they didn't do it. And we all know who Tom Thibodeau is as a coach already. That's it. I'll keep it at that.
It's not even that you don't think it will and you want to see if it will. You just don't think it will.
I want to see if it will. They have to show me that they can be able to sustain it during the regular season. Okay. They have to show me. I don't believe this is who Tibbs is as a coach.
When you say you don't think this is who he is, you mean having a team that's playing fast paced or what exactly?
I don't believe, yes, having a team that's playing fast paced. Like the Knicks right now, I think they're probably top 10 in assists in the preseason, just based off of the two games, right? I know there's two other games to show and then keep that up there. They're pretty much going to do that, right? Points per game, they're scoring 120 something points per game, I think, in this preseason. Last preseason, they did the same thing. We're having these same conversations about, can the Knicks be able to play with pace, right? We had Kemba Walker at the time. Can the Knicks be able to keep this pace up going into the regular season? The Knicks went from top 10 in all of those categories, points per game, pace, assists per game, to bottom 5 in the NBA during the regular season. I just don't think that Tom Thibodeau teams are able to sustain this level of pace during the regular season. I just don't, until they show me.
All right. The next segment is when we're going to go over last year's preseason stats to the regular season stats to this preseason stats. So that's a prelude to that. But Tone?
Brunson, definitely. Peace shuttle. Welcome aboard. Yeah. Brunson by far. He showed pretty much dominance in the first game, in my opinion. Limited minutes, but took the lead, took control. The Knicks followed. Second game didn't shoot the ball well, but was a testament to what Tibbs has been preaching. And you don't have to shoot well to play well. You know what I mean? Still impacted that game, got us to win, was an integral part of the win as well. So that's the standout by far. But just to respond to what Josh is saying, I think last year we had question marks even with what we saw in preseason. I think a little bit different this year. I think we're not questioning can Brunson play 82 games or not, or his leadership. Can, you know what I mean? We question these things. To Queen's credit, it was everything has to go right for things to go, things to be good last year. This year, I think it's a little bit different. I think everything doesn't have to go right. I think Brunson's going to steady the ship. So he's the guy that's kind of stood out so far in the first two games, and I expect it to continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think a few things have stood out for me. The pace of the game, the ball movement on offense has stood out for me. Now, whether or not we can continue that remains to be seen, and we'll talk about that in the next segment. Defensively, people are flying around. But as far as our defensive rating, and again, it's super early. I hate to even say defensive rating after 2 preseason games. But that doesn't look particularly great. But again, I'm not quite worried about that because a lot of it is just team and getting to know each other. And defensively, we didn't start out that great last season and ended up 11. So I'm not super concerned defensively. Player-wise, a few things stood out for me. Randle, I'm really concerned about his ability to play off the ball. I'm no longer concerned about his willingness to play off the ball. I've seen that he's willing to play off the ball, but he's not a three-point shooter. He's not a catch and shoot three-point shooter. So now you're not doing that. All right. The first game, I thought they did a good job running the offense. They hit him in the post. He turned up, did what he had to do. The next time they ran the offense, he got the ball, foul line extended, turned around, did what he had to do. And I felt like they were hitting him in his spots for him to make something happen. That second game, I felt like he just seemed, he was having difficulty finding his space. And it wasn't until he got back into his familiar mode of facilitating the offense, bringing the ball down the court, getting into his spots, that he looked like himself. Now, I'm not going to overreact to that because I think out of everyone on this team, it's the biggest adjustment is his. Right? Because he was the primary ball handler, primary facilitator. Now he's playing. I mean, he'll facilitate some, but when Brunson is in the game, pretty much the ball is in his hand. So he has to make the biggest adjustment. So I got my eyes on that. And I think the other thing that stood out to me was Obi Toppin. Now, Obi Toppin didn't shoot well from the 3 that first game, right? So I'm not getting all, excited about him. We'll see. But you can tell that Obi Toppin put in some work this off season. I don't want to hear, he couldn't show it in a limited time. He's only playing 3 more minutes, in this preseason. You can look at Obi in the first 5 minutes of the game. His defensive awareness has improved. Knowing where his guy is, has improved. Putting the ball on the floor, taking it to the basket, that's improved. Feeling more confident in his 3-point, shooting, that's improved. The first game, I thought his rebounding improved because he made a concerted effort, it seemed like to me, to stay in and rebound first. Last game, not so much. But Obi Toppin skill level, has improved or sharp. And you could say he had that in high school, but that's another level. He had that in college, another level. You have to be able to do it against guys who are bigger, stronger, faster. And he's figuring that out. So I really like what I'm seeing from Obi Toppin. I'm going to get right to you, Tone. And then, of course, Brunson. He didn't shoot efficient the first game, second game. But like Tip said, you don't have to shoot well to play well. And he's been playing well we can go on and on and on and on. But that's what sticks out to me the most. Tone?
I just wanted to reiterate your point about Obi as well, because I think the biggest difference is his confidence all across the board. And, there came a point where you and I were both tired of hearing every post or every press conference him talking about confidence this, confidence that. But to his credit, it's a testament to him to recognize what the issue was and know that it wasn't his skills and it was really just his confidence. And, like you said, 0 for 4 game 1, still came in confident game 2 and went 4 for 5. He was prolific that night. But yeah.
Prolific.
I mean, gotta give credit when credit's due. So I agree. Obi definitely stood out.
Yeah, and none of us mentioned RJ Barrett. Well, RJ Barrett looks good. Now listen, that off the dribble, not there yet. It's something he said he's worked on, and as the season goes on, hopefully we'll see it. But even if we don't see it till next season, that 3-point shot, catch and shoot, is looking good. If he's finishing at the rim and he's hitting his free throws 80%, I didn't even think 80% was possible, but he had 100% right now. So, at 80%, I'll take that for this year. And off the dribble which I think is the next evolution of his game, will really take his game to the next level. If that doesn't come to later on in the season or next season, I'm okay. Be efficient at the rim, hit the 3-point catch and shoot at a good clip, hit your free throw shooting. I'm good with OJ Barrett, with RJ Barrett. And I've seen, that, and that's pretty much what I've seen. Though his finishing at the basket wasn't that great. The second game is still early. So I'm not getting too high and I'm not getting too low. I'm just pointing out positive, negative things. And we have to see, how it goes as the season goes on. Anything else?
I just want to keep it on record that I'm gonna keep saying it. I think RJ's leading us in scoring this year.
Okay.
That I'm on the same page with you with that.
Okay.
I want to add in, if RJ can be able to maintain this catch and shoot clip, then I'm not really as concerned about that him and Cam in that lineup together, because basically that's what Fournier did. RJ's not going to shoot the ball as well as Fournier, right? But I think the catch and shoot threat is what that lineup needs more than anything when you have RJ, Cam, Randle. And I think RJ showed in the last game that he can be able to do that well, right? And then you have to ask yourself, well, can you be able to have RJ move an off-ball role to play that catch and shoot thing? And then maybe it's okay to have Randle in that same lineup. Then I kind of look at it that way. But I don't know if that will be I don't know if having RJ in an off-ball role is the best for him or for the team moving forward. So still a lot of questions with that, but I'm encouraged, like you, Queen, about his catch and shoot ability.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Shout out to the chat. But Punisher BX1, Obi is super fast. Let him leak and get easy buckets all day. The only concern I have about that is the rebounding. We're gonna get to the stats. Again, it's super early. We taking all of this with a grain of salt, but our rebounding is down. Our rebounding is down in the preseason. So Obi is fast enough to stay in there, get the rebound himself, or make sure it's secured, still beat people down the court and score. You're right. I mean, he's fast enough. Part of the reason why I think our rebounding is down is because Mitch is only playing 19 minutes a game. Randle is playing 18 minutes a game. Those are, good rebounders for us. But those who are getting the minutes need to rebound. And our rebounding is definitely down with, overall. So that's my only concern about Obi leaking out is the rebounding.
That's my actual biggest concern for the team going into the season. For a center, even though Robinson...
That's a good point, Deron. Go ahead.
Robinson's a beast on the offensive boards, but not really so much on the defensive boards. And, I mean, RJ supplements rebounding pretty well. Brunson, not really a tall point guard, and Evan Fournier is okay, but he's not who you think of as an outstanding shooting guard rebounder. So, then you bring Obi in, who hasn't proven to be a great rebounder, and his specialty is leaking out on the breaks. Like, yeah, I hear the chat that came in, and that mentioned about Obi and letting them leak. Yeah, we need that, but we need him on the boards too.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get into
Queen, I just wanted to
yes.
Put that comment. I heard you reference it, and that's why I put my finger up. Man, I can't find it. Oh, Deron has said, the rebounds are down because we're making shots. And I think that is a valid point. That's what I was gonna say. If we're shooting the ball better, there's less rebounds to get, which in turn means we're gonna have less rebounds.
I think she was talking about
offensive rebounds to get.
Yeah, I think she was talking about defensive rebounds.
Right. There's less offensive rebounds to get if we're shooting well, but defensive rebounding is based on the other team missing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where are we? All right. I want to bring this up. This is last season, preseason versus the regular season, and then the preseason through the first two games. So last season in the preseason, we scored 116 points, which was fourth in the league. And during the regular season, we were 26th in points scored. Right? In offensive rating, we were second in the league in preseason at 113 points per game. In the regular season, we were 23rd. at 109, basically 110 points per 100 possessions. And our pace was pretty slow, was 21st in the preseason and 29th in the regular season, right? This season is just 2 games. You know, we're second in points. We are 4th in offensive rating, 22nd in defensive rating, but I'm not too concerned about that. And we're 12th in pace. The question I have for the panelists and anybody else in the chat, if you want to chime in, is there anything different about the construction of this team that makes you think it's going to be different this time around in terms of our preseason to season numbers, that we're going to keep up the points scored, even if it's not, listen, I don't think it's going to be 124 points per game, but we're going to be, top half, top 10 offensively, that we're going to be in the top half as far as pace, that we're going to be in the top half in terms of offensive rating. What makes you think this preseason is different than last season's preseason?
Can I go first, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
I already know what everyone's going to say. Jalen Brunson. That's the answer, Jalen Brunson. But I quite don't think it's that simple, right? Even when Jalen Brunson was on, and this is no knock on Jalen Brunson, because Dallas was a good team with him last season. Dallas was dead last in the NBA in pace last season, right? And Dallas Mavericks were a successful team, successful offensively, because they made shots. And they had a dominant half-court player, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not as simple as saying, as you can tell, everyone wants to say Jalen Brunson. Right. It's not as simple as just putting Jalen Brunson in this lineup. I think the Knicks can be effective playing a slower pace. It's not all about pace, in my opinion, right? But the thing is, they have to have someone in the half court who's going to be dominant, who's going to be able to make shots late in the shot clock, right? And right now, I just don't think they have that player dominant in the half court on the roster.
What if it is Brunson?
I don't think it is.
Okay.
You think Brunson's a dominant half court player?
Yeah.
Wow.
But this is what I will say. Is the difference? It's not when you're talking about pace. I'm talking specifically about pace. I know, Josh, you were talking about points per game, offensive rating. It's not just about transition, points. It's about getting the ball up earlier in the shot clock and getting yourself more possessions per game, right?
That's what pace is, Queen. That's what pace is.
I know. But some people would think pace, those who don't know the official definition, when you say pace, they would think transition. The Knicks are practicing getting the ball off in 14 seconds. That's what we saw when we went to the open practice, right? 14-second shot clock. Now, obviously, it's not 14 seconds getting up any old kind of shot, 14 seconds, turning the ball over. I mean, you want to get a good shot in the 14 seconds. But I think this is something that they're working on. They're making a concerted effort to do. And I think the pace is going to be, but they're going to shoot earlier in the clock. Now, what that percentage is going to be, who knows? And will our turnovers go up? Who knows? It hasn't in the preseason, right? Last game, I think we had 9 turnovers. We shall see. I do think the Knicks will play faster pace, but faster pace doesn't necessarily mean more points. More points is about, all right, you're getting more shots, but are you hitting them? And when we look at last season, take away the bigs who brought our overall field goal percentage up. The wings shot like 39%, 40%. So if RJ's hitting his catch and shoot, that's going to help us getting more shots, hitting a higher percentage. Randle, hopefully he'll find his way in this offense. We'll see. Brunson is efficient. I feel okay with that. I feel okay with, I pretty much feel okay in terms of field goal percentage that the players will hit their shots. I'm not that high on quickly, we shall see. Because a lot of his field goal percentage for me is based on his shot selection, not necessarily whether or not he can shoot. So I don't know if I'm willing to say this team is not built for it. I'm willing to say that our wings have to shoot better than they did last season, for our offensive rating to increase. And Julius Randle has to find his way in this offense. Because if he doesn't, and he's taking the shots that he's taking, I don't see his field goal percentage going up. So I see a path forward where it can happen, but certain things need to happen if the Knicks are going to be. So I agree with you, Josh. It's more than just Brunson being here. You got to hit shots.
Okay, shots.
Can
I-
I jump in real quick? Because part of the problem last year, to your point, to your credit, Queen, was we were inefficient. We tried to play with pace, but it was turnovers. It was bad shots. It was missed shots. So part of the thing that Brunson's gonna do is about, instead of saying pace, let's say controlling the pace, because that's what we needed last year. We needed somebody to say slow down. Let's run this set. Let's get a good shot instead of just trying to outrun these guys and play with pace. So to me, that's where Brunson's gonna come into effect, where he has that. Or Rose could have done it had he been available. He's able to take control of the offense and see when things are going out of control, and like I said, control the pace. So sometimes that's just as important as playing with pace, especially when you're inefficient. So I think that's where he'll help us.
But I just want to make sure, like when we're talking, that are you talking about our points per game? Are you talking about our offensive rating? Are you talking about our pace? They're related, but they're not, all the same. So I think Josh was talking about our points per game. You were talking, Tony, specifically about our pace, just getting up more shots in a game will give us an opportunity to score more.
I'm talking about making sure the shots are quality shots, controlled shots. Like when I say controlling the pace, because to your credit, you can try to get shots up within 14 seconds. If they're not good shots, what's the point? You know what I mean? If you're just chucking them up, what's the point? A lot of times that's what was going on last year, especially during that stretch, that 20 game stretch where we was 3-17. You know what I mean? We were in the game and then we shoot ourselves out of it because there was nobody to take control and say, all right, let's slow it down this possession. You know what I mean? Let's get a good shot right here. And that's what I'm referring to when I say Brunson is helping. I'm not saying he's gonna make us have more pace. I'm saying he's gonna be able to control it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. But I mean, I've been preaching pace all summer. I even recall talking about D'Antoni offense, and people were slamming me in the comments. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a 7-second offense, but lo and behold, we're talking about a 14-second offense. I think that Tibbs realizes that this is not a traditional Tibbs strong defensive, wear you down type of team. So the best way, as I've said before, the best way for this team this year is going to be to generate more pace. And the best defense for this team will be a good offense. Having the ball out of Randall's hands some, having better point guard play than Burks, not having Rose back, hopefully. I think these things all, you know, collectively will increase the pace, and to Tony's point, improve the shot selection, so it's not just up and down, rec ball, as we call it. As my coach used to call it. He used to tell me, "Hey, we're not playing rec ball. This is the basketball team we're playing here now." So I think a combination of all those factors should not only lead to increased pace, tempo, and we'll probably be somewhere in the middle of the pack. But I think more importantly for me is improved field goal shooting percentage.
Right.
That to me is what I want to see. I need Randall up. I need RJ up, and this also leads to better defensive opportunities because now you're set and prepared on defense.
I wanna add something. So last year, I don't think the problem was we didn't have someone to control the pace. I don't think that was the major problem last season. I think the Knicks were a slow-paced team, like they were, like all Tom Thibodeau teams are, but they didn't have a dominant half-court player, right? Randle is able to draw double teams. To his credit, able to draw double teams. He's going to have high usage rate, and when he draws those double teams, he was able to find people that were open. They just couldn't hit the shot, right? So the Knicks,
a lot of turnovers though. A lot of turnovers though.
Well, yes, a lot of turnovers, but that's different than the Knicks not being able to take the right shots. I think they were taking the right shots last season. They just weren't hitting them, right? And that's my concern with this Knicks team going into this season. And I know the addition of Brunson, you take the ball out of Julius Randle's hands, you limit your turnovers, like you said, DJ Shuttle, right? And then the hope is that we can be able to knock our shots down this season. But I thought the Knicks could have played and if they would have hit their shots last year, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, right? It wouldn't be a conversation about the Knicks not taking good shots last season. They were going deep into the shot clock. 20 seconds into the shot clock or whatever, settling for shots. So I think there was an effort to find the right shot. They just didn't hit them. How many shots did we see Evan Fournier miss? Wide open. RJ Barrett miss. Wide open. Randle miss. Wide open. You know what I mean? In rhythm at that. So I don't think that was the biggest problem.
A lot of times it was too much watching Randle with the ball. The ball wasn't moving around well enough. The point guards couldn't break down their man to get really easy open shots as much as a lot of other teams do, as much as we'll get more of this year, I strongly believe. So I just think we have more to look forward to this season with Brunson. Like Brunson has a thing, like he's like gets in the paint real crafty and is able to find open players better than the point guards we had last year. And Rose still has the breakdown ability and is a better passer now than he ever was in my eyes. So
I'm not dependent on Derrick Rose. I'm just not dependent on Derrick Rose. Brunson, I'll give you that. I trust Brunson. I trust Brunson's ability to get to the rim. But all this depending on we didn't have Derrick Rose last year. We already knew that. We already knew we weren't going to have Derrick Rose. That's just who he is now. Once you have a pattern of injuries, how can you depend on somebody like that to take your team somewhere? I'm not dependent on Derrick Rose for anything.
Fair point.
Brunson, I agree with you though. I think Brunson can help us in that aspect.
But then again, you got to hit your shots. Like when we talk about Brunson, basically we're talking about getting open shots. I don't get the sense that the Knicks shot poorly because their shots were contested. Like I don't have the advanced stats in front of me, but I don't get the sense that, the Knicks, all of their players took contested, their shots. Contestants, right? Well, and that's why they didn't shoot well. We got a lot of open shots.
Right.
Both things can be true though. Like as far as that, I agree. We did have a lot of good open looks that we missed. The problem with the pace part was sometimes we didn't even get a shot opportunity because we were so out of control. Turnovers, bad passing, miscues. That's what I'm saying. Because I think there was a conscious effort last year to play with pace. We just weren't good at it. We weren't efficient at it.
Right. But
I think we missed those shots too. That's all I'm saying.
Right. But you can win whether you're playing a slow pace or whether you're playing a fast pace if you're hitting your shots. Obviously, if you're an inefficient team, then you want to get more shots up and give yourself, more of an opportunity. If you're a good, shooting team, maybe you can get away with playing at a slower pace. Whether we play slow or whether we play fast, the Knicks need to hit shots. 39%. You can look at RJ, you can look at Cam, you can look at IQ. Our wing players 39, 40, 41%. It's not going to cut it no matter what our pace is. Now, obviously, it does help if we're able to get some transition baskets. That's been up, in the preseason as well. Fast break points, 31 in the first game, 17 in the second game, and 17 points. I'm not saying the Knicks are going to get 17 fast break points. But last season, 17 fast break points had you ranked number 1 in the league in fast break points. That was Memphis.
Wow.
So we don't have to get 17. Can we get 12? Can we get 14? I think it was 10.6 last season. And 12 puts you in the top, top 15. So I agree. We need to score points. Randle, if Brunson scores 25 and RJ scores 25, I'm just saying that's just 50 points. we have to score the ball in our half-court offense. Whatever we can get in transition, that's great. But we're going to have to score the ball. And that's may or may not be an issue. And I know we're looking at our players and our benches is kind of deep, but we're talking about against NBA defenders. Once the season starts. Anything else that stood out to you about last year's preseason versus the season and this year preseason that makes you feel comfortable it'll continue, or gives you some concerns? Our 3-point attempts made percentage from the preseason translated to the regular season last year, actually. And that was a concerted effort from the previous year when the Knicks shot well from three but didn't get up enough attempts that they wanted to shoot more threes. And they did that in the preseason, and it translated to the regular season. The assists did not. We were 6th in assists last season in the preseason and dead last, once the season started. Right now we're 11th. I actually feel pretty comfortable in terms of the ball movement, but in order to get an assist, again,
You gotta hit
the shot. Yeah, you got to hit the shot. Anything else?
I mean, you kind of hit it on the head. I was just going to talk about the things that were kind of balanced that did translate, and just say I think those things will continue.
Yeah, I mean, 3-point percentage, from 3rd to 13th, to me, that's not really a huge drop off. But I don't know. For me, I don't take much into the preseason, to be really honest, especially when you're playing what projects to be non-playoff teams. Right now, you're trying to keep your main players healthy, let them get out there, get a little momentum, get a little rhythm. They're not playing their full load of minutes. They'll be playing when the season starts. You're trying to get your backup guys, trying to get your new guys, and your 13th, 14th, player on the team some minutes to decide, who's going to make the team, who's going to go to the G League, that type of thing. So, I'm not really overreacting or projecting, preseason numbers to equate, 4 or 5 games to equate to 82 games,
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But just looking for some trends that you think may or may not continue. I feel pretty confident in our bench scoring this season compared to last season. And part of last season was just injuries, right? In preseason, the bench seemed that like it was going to be pretty strong. And the injuries that decimated it, the whole Kemba Walker thing. Now you had to bring Rose get injured. So yeah, I think that had a lot to do with our bench scoring. But this season, I think our bench scoring is going to be very strong. 61.5 points, no, but it's going to be.
Not only the bench scoring, but just everything that's on that stat list. I mean, everything from points, possessions, assists. I mean, when you go from your point guard being injured to your backup point guard being injured, now you got a shooting guard / small forward playing point guard. You got IQ, not really a point guard, playing backup point guard. I mean, it's just, there was no recipe for success with that team in my eyes last year once the 2 point guards got injured. So, now, listen, if you don't believe in Rose, you got IQ in his 3rd year as a backup. If Rose plays or doesn't play, either way, and you got Jalen Brunson, who should provide a whole lot more stability to the pace, to the control of the team, the confidence. I just think it's a whole different team when you have. It's like if you're a quarterback in football, it's the same thing. Like you get the right quarterback that can steady the huddle, tell the guys, calm down, don't worry, we got this. Brunson's just that type of guy. So, that again is why he was the what stood out to me in the most in the first 2 games, and what I think will translate in these regular seasons.
Okay. Who are the players that you're confident in will play well off the ball? And who do you think may struggle?
So I originally, one of my first people I said today was RJ. I think that particularly if the Knicks are going to use that lineup with Cam Reddish, I don't think they will. But I think if they needed to, I feel confident in RJ's ability to play off the ball a little bit, the catch and shoot ability. I'm confident in that. And also Obi Toppin. I think Obi Toppin's ability to slash off the ball, not get in the way of other ball handlers that are on the floor. His ability to knock down the catch and shoot three at the same clip as Randle, catch and shoot, and his rim running ability. I think I'm very excited about his ability to play off ball. Everyone else, not so much. Not so much Randle, not so much, and there's Mitch as well. But I'm talking about as far as the ball handlers, not so much Randle.
Right. And well, obviously Mitch can play off the ball. He has a choice. I think Grimes can play off the ball.
Fournier
can play off the ball. I think Brunson can play off the ball as well. I think IQ can play off the ball. Matter of fact, I know we talk about
off the ball.
That was what I was gonna say. I know we say that he's more effective when the ball is in his hand, but when the ball is in his hand, he's shooting 39%. Like when the ball is in his hand, he's over dribbling. I just feel like when he's off the ball and somebody passes him the ball and he's beyond that 3-point line,
he's more efficient.
Good money, exactly.
More efficient, but more effective the other way.
But what do you mean when you say effective? What's happening with the ball in Quickly's hand?
I think he makes things happen because the defense reacts to him, and that's like he's just got to figure that part out. But he makes the defense react to his movements, react to what he's doing. So he's just got to find a balance in it. But yeah, efficiency. Yeah, I take catch and shoot from him all day long.
Because even when he's not shooting a great percentage, he's enough of a threat and a concern that you're gonna run out to him at a different kind of energy level than a lot of other players on the team. But Mr. Controversy, you didn't mention Evan Fournier as one of the off the ball players. Was that just an oversight? You're intentionally not giving him that look? Tell me about that.
I think we all know he can play off the ball.
Okay.
I don't have to say Evan Fournier. I mean, I was just talking about the players.
Okay.
She asked specifically about players who I think, who we think are.
Concerns.
She asked it in a way that concerns about off the ball, and that's why I mentioned Obi.
I just wanted to be sure. I'm just checking the temperature.
Right. Do we think that Randle playing off the ball is more? It's just an adjustment, or is there questions about his skill set playing off the ball?
No, because I think he played off the ball longer in the league than he did on the ball. So I think it is an adjustment to me. And the fact that I believe he's still going to have his opportunities regardless of what is. So it's really just kind of picking and choosing whether it's his decision or maybe coaches or whatever. He's still going to have the opportunity to be on the ball. It's really about, at this point, just listen to Tibbs. It's about affecting the game. You know what I mean? When you don't have the ball, you know what I mean? Be effective, make an impact when you don't have the ball. Rebound, defend, do something else efficiently while you're not playing on ball, because he's going to have his opportunities. It's just going to be limited now.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Like I think back to the old days with like a Kareem, where they be showtiming and they be up and down the court, and then Magic be like, all right, slow it down, give it to the captain, and boom, and they give it to him. And I can hope that Brunson can manage the team, getting the ball to RJ, getting it to Fournier, getting some speed, then slowing it down, letting Randle have an opportunity, and have some balance there, and where that doesn't have to only be Randle's responsibility. That has to be the coach and Brunson to steer that ship. And I'm confident Brunson will do some of that. And Randall's got to get more. To me, Randall's got to be more on the boards now. Like, go from a 10 rebounder to a 12. Take that up to 12 or 13 rebounders this year. That's what I'm hoping Randall will do. Use his opportunity off the ball to get on the boards.
So let me just bring up stats, but right, because everyone is saying Julius Randle, most of his career he's played off the ball. It's not true. Statistically, it's not. Right? Last 5 years in the NBA, his usage rate was over 25%, right? Which is some of the highest usage in the NBA, right? So people need to quit with this notion in New Orleans he played off the ball.
Four of those years he was here.
3 of those years he was here. 2 years prior to that, he was in New Orleans, which he had 27% usage rate, which is what he averages pretty much as a Knick, 27% usage rate, and then 25% in Los Angeles. So let's quit with this notion about Julius Randle has always been an off-the-ball player. No, Julius Randle is most effective when he has the ball in his hands and he's doing his thing and he's operating. And he did well. In New Orleans, he played well. All NBA season, he played well individually. That's what Julius Randle does. I just think when you put that in, and the Knicks can win if Julius Randle plays that way and knocks down his shots, right? So this is not me slamming Randle, right? It's just that how can you say you want to be a fast-paced team and you want to move the ball in the half court and you have someone that needs the basketball in order to be effective? That's what I keep going.
Can you have a high usage rate and still be able to play off the ball, though? Luka has a high usage rate. I'm sure he could play off the ball, right?
But that's not his best situation, Queen, to put him off the ball. And it's not best for the team to have him off the ball.
I understand. But let's just say in an alternate universe, there was somebody better than than Luka. Mm-hmm. And he came to Dallas and they had to play Luka off the ball. He would be able to do it.
For a couple plays, but I mean they're gonna split time with the basketball. That's how that would work.
Right.
But that's what I said. That
that's exactly what I said.
There has to be some balance where, listen, you got Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the same team. They found a way to make it work where they were the Showtime Lakers. They ran it up and down. They were fast breaking. They had a lot of pace. But then Magic said, all right, we got to slow it down. We got to get it in the cap. And I think that is what this team needs. They need to play with pace, get some excitement, get some running and gunning, and then they got to say, all right, listen, let's slow it up. Let's get into Randle, let him do his numbers. And that'll keep him engaged in the game, and that'll keep the team also having the pace that is needed to be successful.
Go ahead, Queen.
The way I see it, playing off the ball is about skill set. It's about skill set. Do you have the skill set to play off the ball? Meaning, if somebody else has the ball and they pass it to you, can you hit a catch and shoot three? And it doesn't have to be a catch and shoot three. When they pass the ball to you, now you're in triple threat position. Can you operate that way? Once you get the ball, now you can shoot it, you can pass it, you can drive into the lane, but you can't be a deer in headlight. When I look at Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they could play on the ball, but they can also play off of each other. That's the potential that I see with Brunson, Randle, and RJ, that any one of them can bring the ball up, initiate the offense, and those other two should be able to play off of whoever has the ball at that time. That's how I'm seeing it when I say, play off the ball. Randle is not going to be a primary facilitator. So if his 20, 10, and 5 has to come with him pounding the ball or ball in his hand all the time, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Yes, Charles.
So I just want to add, and people are talking about, well, usage rate doesn't mean everything. Usage rate definitely means a lot in the context of this conversation, right? If usage rate, you have the ball in your hands, and it's the amount of times you have the ball in your hands that results in scores or shot attempts, right? So that's what usage rate is as a stat. I think Julius Randle has a skill set to play off the ball. I think he has that skill set, right? The question is, one, can he be able to do that on this team going into the regular season when the last 5 years in the NBA, he's played over a 25% usage rate, right? And the team is basically focused around him offensively. So that's the first question I have. And the second question I have is that best for him? is that best for him?
Is it best for us?
And right,
And
that was
that's
my
what's
third
more
question.
important.
That was going to be my third question.
That's
Right.
that's part of the sacrifice that again Tibbs is always referencing. What's best for you and I mentioned this about Cam as well. What's best for you personally may not be what we need from you on this team. We might need some. You may be able to do 5 things. We may need you to focus on 2 of those things. You know what I mean? You might have to sacrifice those other 3 for the team. The best question is not about is he able, is he willing?
Willing.
I think that's where you kind of saying you're not sure if he's willing to do it. He has the ability to do it. Is he going to be willing to do it?
I think he's willing to do it. I just don't think Tibbs has that part figured out yet.
Yeah, right. Because I would have to, because I saw it see, the thing about it is they play a read and react offense. Like, it's not like, okay, we're going to run this play. This play, obviously there's multiple options off of it, but one of the options is hitting Randle, in the post. One of the options is Randle should be, let's start with a pick and roll with Brunson, whatever. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. So I do think the offense needs to be tweaked a little bit to kind of help him find his space in the offense. But my concern is that catch and shoot 3-point playing off the ball, that's not going to be a part of it. The catch and shoot is just not going to be a part of it. That's just not his game. But we talked about this a few weeks ago. Do you want to take the ball out of his hand altogether? Because in the third quarter, when he did look like himself, it wasn't like he was chucking the ball out. He got some good shots for people. So, just kind of mixing it up, where he has the ball in his hands some, but mostly though, he will be playing off the ball, and he has to,
also, too, I think we're bringing a guy like Brunson in, while he can steady the ship. I mean, he has played with Luka for a few years, so it's not like he's like a CP3, player coming to the team. So sharing the ball with RJ facilitates some, and Randle facilitates some. Brunson allowed to do a little catch and shoot here and there. I think there's gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised if RJ, Randle, and Brunson all averaged 5, 6, and 5 assists or something like that, because they're all sharing the facilitating, role.
But I also think another question can be, where is Randle going to play off the ball? Do you want him playing off the ball on the 3-point line, where you see him mostly, right? When Brunson has the ball or RJ has the ball, Randle's on the 3-point line. He's not getting in post-up position, posting his man up for the most part. You see him on the 3-point line, setting a screen, and then expecting the ball back on the 3-point line. He never rolls to the basket. He's been playing on the perimeter.
Game, though. The first game I did see, it was in the post and the mid post. The first game was much better.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. I think he has the ability to do so. I think he has the abilities to do so. I just haven't seen it last year. I haven't seen it the year prior to that.
But there was no way to see it, because there was nobody, there was nobody else.
And again, to Queen's credit, I think that's why she's saying he has the biggest adjustment. He can do it, but he's the one that's got to figure that out. RJ's been playing off the ball since he's been here, and then his opportunities and his usage rate or whatever you want, however you want to word it, increased. You know what I mean? Like Randle has to make the adjustment of a decrease. You know what I mean? He has to make the adjustment of, and yes, he hasn't really been accustomed to that. At least the last 2 years. You know what I mean? The year one, Mook was here half the year, where he had to share that responsibility too, and really didn't have it until the latter stages. So
I don't know. I've played on teams with players that are not so good. I've coached teams where there's only one really good player that I can't depend on other people to get him the ball in good positions, and but I have also been screaming at the screen like, Randle, move, don't just stand there. Right. So, I get it, Mr. Fulio. I'm with you on that. and I will be looking to see how the team is able to better facilitate, have some motion, and him get better involved in that regard. Like, I won't say I gave him a pass, but I did give him a pass for what has happened in the past. It would be interesting if you still have those stats up, though, to see what his usage rates are for the 3 years he's been here, especially the year when Rose played the most number of games that he played. Because if I had to bet, his usage rate would have been lowest when Rose was playing the most, and you had successful point guard play, which reduced his need to have such a high usage. And that is what I'm banking on happening with Brunson and RJ's improved play.
29.2, highest in his career.
Highest in his career, the year Rose played and played well.
Yes.
Yes, because
Not
remember,
Rose only played the second half of the year.
Right. So we would have to break it down.
Yeah,
after that.
yeah.
But remember, I could see that. He was the offense. Remember, he was spraying it out to Bullock, to Burke, to RJ at the time was playing pretty much exclusively off the ball. So I could definitely see that.
But he also deferred once Rose got here. And to in a sense, that was the only guy he deferred to. You know what I mean? I agree with Shuttle in the sense that I don't think he has a problem deferring to Brunson. Late last year, you started seeing him defer to RJ. So I think it's in him to make the adjustment. It's just and coming into this season, I think he'll adjust quicker. It won't take a half a year.
Deferring. I don't know if it's the deferring part of it.
No, he's a tough guy, and he's not gonna just give it to you to give it to you. And if he sees if you playing like a burger, he's gonna just like, yo, I got it.
Maybe I shouldn't say defer, but he got comfortable enough to where he trusts his teammates to,
well,
you know what I mean, to say
the team played a lot better in the second half than they did in the first half. It was the first half was like, it was like who's on first, so, where's on second and what's on third. It was a mess the first 20, 30 games. So, him and the entire team played better. And I think, again, with the improved point guard play and the leadership, that is going to have an impact for him up here. Like I can trust my team.
All right. Position battles. Anything you saw in the first it's only 2 games. It's only 2 games that made you I don't know if we've seen anything that would make us say that somebody should start over somebody else. But that maybe the minutes may be, divvied up a little differently, or you would still need to see more.
Can it be a little bit of both? I still gotta see more from Deuce, but he's definitely opened my eyes to him. So I could see him making a not a fight to be a permanent rotation piece, but you know what I mean. He's easier.
How is Deuce gonna even make the roster?
He's on a roster.
He can make the roster, not the rotation though.
I mean, listen, you got Brunson, IQ, Rose, Grimes, Fournier. I mean, like, there's no room for this guy to even play. I don't care how good he's playing right now. There's no room.
Injuries.
There it is. Opportunities. That's all I'm saying. Because there was a time where he had the opportunity and Tibbs didn't go to him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
right.
And I mean that's what I mean. Like now, I don't think Tibbs is gonna hesitate if he has that opportunity to go to him, he'll go to him.
So if it's like last year and Brunson goes down and Rose goes down and IQ's the starting point guard, yes, Deuce can get some minutes as the backup.
I don't even know if Tibbs wants IQ to start. The same way I'm saying with Deuce, he had plenty of opportunities to give IQ a start, even down the stretch. You know what I mean? And he didn't start him at point guard. So I think he either likes him as that combo guard or likes him in that lead role in the second unit more, because Tibbs didn't even give him an opportunity down the stretch when when everybody was getting opportunities to see what he didn't get the opportunity to start at point guard.
I
So
said it
I
earlier.
don't know if he wants him there.
I said it earlier to a friend. Like I love Obi, and I'm happy to have him here. I don't want him to go. That's not what I'm saying. But some players can be amazing playing against other teams' second units, and putting IQ against the backup team or the second units of another team is better suited for his skill set at this point in his career, in my eyes. So I'll definitely drink to that one.
Listen, I don't know if anybody has been harsher on Obi than I have, but I believe it's been warranted, based on what I saw last season. But you can't miss that his skill set, has improved. And there's a lot that we need to see against regular season teams who are game planning, right? We need to see our offense against, regular season teams who are game planning. We need to see our defense against that. We need to see RJ's catch and shoot, against teams that might be crowding him a little more. Maybe he's not getting these wide open looks. How is he going to shoot? How is he going to play them? We need to see Obi in that situation. I mean, the entire roster, basically, on what we've seen, we're going to need to see them, when other teams are game planning, so it remains to be seen about anything we've seen thus far. I think Obi Tibbs has shown a willingness in the preseason to play more people. I was surprised. Even in the preseason, I've been surprised. I thought he would go right with his 10-man rotation right from the beginning. Is that a indication that he's willing to be more flexible with the rotations once the season starts? We shall see. Does that mean that Randle won't get 34 minutes? That he's liking what he's seeing from Obi enough to give, Randle 30 minutes, 28 minutes, we shall see. Obviously we already said in terms of position battles, Mitch and Ihart, probably 28-20, though Hartenstein didn't look great that second game, in my opinion, but we know what he brings. And, the shooting guard with Fournier and Grimes, both, who really Fournier played one game, Grimes played none. He should be back the next game, though.
Queen, can I ask you a question real quick? Do you envision a scenario where Tibbs splits up half and half, 24 minutes apiece for Obi and Randle?
No, I don't. This is what I think needs to happen. And I think it's too soon right now. If Obi continues to display what he's displayed the first two games throughout the season, and listen, he's a young player. He's going to have, ups and downs. And he gets to the point where the front office and the coaching staff believes that he's at a point where he can start. He's at a point where we think that he'll be able to help us in that starting role. Then they're going to have to move Randle. As long as Randle is on this team, I do not believe there will be a 24-24 minute split, period. But I don't think Obi is at that point yet.
Thank you, Queen, because people in the chat were calling me crazy. I'm crazy for saying something like that.
I don't see that. However, I see a path. If Obi continues doing what he did in that second game, and let's just say he gets to the point where that's just who, because this is the thing we have to keep in mind. And people get triggered by this. Just because you do something one time, two times, three times, it doesn't mean that that's the level at which you're going to operate at game in and game out. And to me in the NBA, that's the hardest thing to do. That's the hardest thing to find, that consistency. Look at RJ Barrett. Games where he looks all world and games where he doesn't. You trying to find that consistency where, not that you're not going to have bad games, but for the most part, we know what we're going to get from you game in and game out. It takes a while to get to that point. But for Obi, what I'm impressed with It's his skill set. Is you know, he's showing a diverse skill set on an NBA level. I don't want to hear about college. He's showing a diverse skill set on an NBA level. That's what I'm excited about. And now it's just a matter of him becoming consistent with it, where you know this is what we're going to get from him game in and game out.
And
Queen.
my only thing is, like, when you got a guy that's off the bench in a situation like Obi is, and you've got a guy that was just an all NBA player only 2 years ago, who still put up 20 and 10 in a bad year, for you to like really be knifing into this guy's minutes, like, you have to be coming into the game like proven through the season, no doubt about it. Like, it has to be unanimous. Like, right now, it's a debate, it's a question, and some people think it, not everybody thinks it. Like, it would have to be unanimous. And in year one, Obi was subpar. Year two, he showed signs. So he's on pace for year three to potentially be the year where we're looking at like, yo, Obi doing his numbers. What are we going to do? But he has to still actually do it and do it through the course of a season consistently. He's yet to do it over a sustained time period, like you said, Queen. So now we're at the point where potentially this is the year, trade deadline, next off season, where we're forced to make a decision. But right now, there is no decision. Randle's playing 30 minutes a game.
At least
Obi gets what he gets.
Can I just add something real quick?
Absolutely.
So this whole thing, and when we have this conversation, a lot of people think that I'm saying Obi is better. Not no one here in particular, but people think that I'm saying Obi is better than Randle. There's no chance. Randle is the better player, clearly, right? And this is not about Obi's individual production. But when you put the message out to the team that you want to play with a faster pace, right? Clearly, I think Obi fits with a faster paced team, not just transition, running up and down the floor, but also in the half court, because he doesn't need the basketball to be successful. He can play off the ball. He can slash without the basketball. He's not going to hover around the 3-point line and just stay there expecting to get the basketball back, right? And he has that ability. His catch and shoot numbers are the same as Julius Randle. They're not too different in that aspect. It's the fact that Obi does not need the basketball. And when you put that message out that you want to play faster, you want to play with a faster pace, to me, that's the player that you will put in there to play at a faster pace. But at the same time, like Queen mentioned earlier, you don't have to play at a faster pace in order to be successful offensively, right? So if Randle can somehow return to his form, knocking down his all-NBA form, or at least close to it, knocking down shots, being efficient, the Knicks can play at a slower pace and they can score more points. They just got to be able to knock their shots down. So I'm just confused. I think a lot of people are confused about where the Knicks, the direction they're going as far as how they want to play versus the lineups that they put on the floor and maximizing that lineup that you have out there on the floor. And that's the part where I'm confused at.
I'm hoping that Randle looks the part of being in better shape and more prepared for a faster pace, that he doesn't feel the need to reserve his energy because the team is not strong enough. When he doesn't have it, he has to stay on the court. So I'm hoping he sees, all right, I'm in better shape. We're going to play faster. I'm going to play harder. I may play 2 or 3 minutes less, but I'm going to be giving more max effort. And then that allows Obi to come in and get a couple of more minutes because, he's playing harder. He's playing faster.
But this is what I'll say, though. When you say Obi doesn't need the ball, so that makes him, a better fit. Whoever is in there, you're going to need to supply something offensively, unless you're just an energy guy, where you're just getting things, off the ball. So when you say he doesn't need the ball offensively, like, I don't really see how that impacts your pace, whether somebody needs the ball or doesn't need the ball.
Can I elaborate on that, Queen? Can I elaborate on that real quick? When I say he doesn't need the basketball, meaning he doesn't need to take 2 or 3 dribbles to get himself going. He can slash to the basket and get the basketball and score off of passes, off of just catch and going to the basketball. Alley-oop. He doesn't need to dribble the basketball. He doesn't need to set anybody else up. Like, his game is not predicated on that.
Right, I understand. But even if one second, I get that part. But even if Randle is taking 2 or 3, you could still get a shot off in 14 seconds, right? I mean, so that's what I'm saying. I don't think is that big a bill. I mean, you can't pound the ball. You can't be pounding the ball for 10 seconds.
It is though, Queen. That's Randle.
Right. But I don't think so. I mean, when we looked at the there are times when that's the case, right? But not 10 seconds. I mean, when we looked at the stats in terms of how long players hold the ball, Randle was way down the list, maybe top 100 compared to like Harden, who holds the ball like 6 seconds per possession. So I think that's a bit, overblown, but I get it. When he gets the ball, which you could look at any one-on-one player, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, any of them guys, when they get the ball, they have to take some time to set up their shots, to set up their guys. The ones that's moving and you catching them on the fly is the guys that don't really, they can't. They don't have the offensive game to take time with the ball, because what are they going to do with it? So
which is why, Queen, I'm not knocking the fact that Randle does that, but just don't tell me you want to play with a faster pace and then you're winding down the clock to 18 to 20 seconds off the shot clock.
But okay, well,
see what I'm trying to say?
No, I get that, but I still think you could play faster with Randle in the lineup. I don't think because he doesn't hold the ball that long. It's 3 seconds. It's 3 seconds, which is on par, with his usage rate. But now it could be even less. He doesn't have to. And if you've seen him, he's not really holding the ball that long now. So I think you can, in half court, let's just say they got a shot off with 20 seconds. They can get a shot off in 16 seconds. I don't really see why you can't get a shot off in 16 seconds with Randle in the lineup, especially this Randle, who's not the primary ball handler, the primary facilitator. I think it's possible, but it's about him finding his spots in the offense and about the coaching staff helping him out.
You do understand that there is a level of concern with that, right? There is a level of pessimism with that whole thing. When you look at the numbers, right? We've already looked at the numbers and the stats collectively from the offense and how bad the Knicks offense has been over the last couple of years. When you talk about pace, when you talk about or lack thereof, right? You can see all of this stuff. And then to me, when I watch the basketball games, I can look at Obi and tell like the offense just seemed to have a little bit more flow, a little bit more pace, as we all want them to have, with him out there on the floor. And Obi's not hungry for the basketball going to the top of the key, taking the ball out of the primary ball.
That's based off his role. That's who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have a go-to guy, it's gonna be different than a guy who's in a role and doing his role. I agree with you. It does look different with Obi on the floor, but Obi's not coming in and playing Julius Randle's role. You understand? You understand?
I gotta counter that, Tone.
Go ahead.
And this is in no way an advocacy for Obi to start or play more minutes, because Randle still has to do it until Obi proves it. But Obi was the college player of the year. He was the most dominant player by far on his team, but his team played a Golden State Spurs motion type offense. So to me, this is bigger than Obi's role on this team. This is just what he knows. This is the type of player that he is. He's good at getting the ball, passing it, moving it, and getting the ball other type of ways other than just pounding it. So it's more than just what his role is on this team, I would say.
I think it's a little bit of both. They go hand in hand.
I think it's a little bit of both, because if he was, he has a developing skill set. He may get to that point though, where you can throw the ball to him on the wing, have him face up, take the ball to the basket. I'm not sure if he's strong enough. He, below the waist, I think he has to get strong enough in terms of, throwing the ball to him at the post. But he has a developing skill set where you may be able to throw the ball to him and he can get a bucket. But those type of guys are going to hold the ball longer than guys who don't have that skill set.
You got to set it up.
Yeah, who don't have that skill set. And the other thing I want to say is, listen, I don't want to hear nothing about how the offense looks. Oh, it looks great. We passing the ball around. We look like the Harlem Globetrotters. Like, how effective is it? Is it leading to us winning the game? Like, that's the most important thing, not how it looks. And I get it. You know, I don't like watching a game and it's looking like the 90s Knicks. Wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
But the Knicks won. So, you know, if we passing the ball around, it's free flowing and everybody's like, oh, you saw how the offense looked. Did we win the game with that? Like, that's the most important thing, that it was free flowing. It looked great. We enjoyed it and we won. Because at the end of the day, I want the win, even if the pace is slow.
Queen, do you think our offense is better playing at a faster pace than a slow one?
It remains to be seen. I would prefer my
Good
preference.
answer.
This is my preference, that we play at a faster pace, get the ball over half court. Can we get a shot up in 16 seconds and get more possessions per game on this poor shooting team if we're going by last year? And can we get some more points in transition?
But why? Is that necessarily going to lead us to wins?
It might. It might. So what I'm trying to say is, just because you're playing fast doesn't mean you're going to win. Like, people are focusing on, we play fast, we look good, the ball is moving. People are focusing on that, but nobody has said when we play like that, we get more wins. At the end of the season, when we was playing like that for the last 10 games, we were 8-2. We were 7-3. Like, nobody is talking about whether it was effective. We're just talking about how it looks.
I mean, I've been talking about when it was effective, because during that stretch, we were playing a lot faster. We weren't ending games. So I don't think the pace was the problem then. I think the problem was we didn't have the guy to say, hey, slow it down now. We don't have to we don't have to try to speed up the court and rush a shot every time. Sometimes you got to slow it down. And it's a prime example also in the playoffs of sometimes you got to slow it down. So you're going to need those guys regardless. You know what I mean? You can't just outrun a team or outpace a team for the duration and expect to win a championship. There's going to be a time where you're going to have to be strategic. You're going to have to play a half court game. You're going to have to break teams down. And then the only thing I wanted to add with the Obi thing is, especially on this team, and I would say in college as well, he was the leading scorer, but it wasn't like they were dumping the ball to him to create. And that's the difference in a role. And what I'm saying with Randle, that's what he's done for us. With Obi, he's not going to be that guy, whether Randle's here or not. He's not going to come in and it's going to be like, all right, we need you to facilitate. We need you to get a bucket here, create. You know what I mean? Like, you're the go-to guy. He's always going to be within a role on this team. And that's the difference.
Because Randle's here. Randle's in that role. Randle's filling that role, like you said.
But even when
somebody else is going to fill it. If Randle's not, it's not going to be Obi. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
If Randle goes out for the season, right? RJ is going to be your 25 point per game scorer.
Right.
It's going to be a lot more facilitating through RJ. He's going to be the go-to guy. He's going to be the guy you're looking at for the final shots at the end of the game. And Fournier, probably, believe it or not, and Brunson.
Right.
Toppin is going to be fourth on the pecking order in the starting lineup, whereas Randle is second at worst.
Right. And that's okay.
And he'll do great. His numbers will go up. Everything will go up. But his role is not going to change, is what I'm saying.
Agreed.
Right.
He's going to be getting the ball and passing the ball.
You dump the ball down to. He'll be starting.
Okay.
But the bulk of the offense, in terms of who you're counting on for points, will be, RJ, maybe Fournier, whoever, Cam, whoever's here, whatever. And, Obi will continue to play off of those guys. It'll just be in the starting lineup. All right. I mean, and which is fine. I mean, when I look at Collins from Atlanta, that's how he started. They weren't dumping the ball down to him. He was just playing, getting whatever he can get off of Trae Young. Then as the time went on, he got a little post game. Wasn't robust post game, but he got a little post game, and then he was able to shoot the three, and so yeah, which is fine. Any other position battles you see? This is what I'll say about McBride. I think he looks a little more comfortable on offense. I think Tibbs trusts him a little more that if there is an injury, he would get some time. Whereas last season, I don't think Tibbs trusted him. He liked him. He liked his potential, but he didn't trust him enough to put him in, despite the fact that we were decimated in that role. So I think he's gone from super situational, which is how I branded him at the beginning of preseason, to just now situational. And when we went to the practice, he had on a green jersey, which was the situational G League jersey. Those players who had on that jersey. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Deuce getting any minutes until somebody gets hurt.
Right.
I like
that's
Deuce.
still an upgrade. That's an upgrade from last year, though.
Yeah.
That's all I was saying.
Yeah. And the last point, and then we'll get into next week, and then we're out of here. Any concerns? We play a faster pace and we do make the playoffs, and then things slow down. Any concerns there?
No, make the playoffs. What are you talking about?
Can I go first? Because
Can we get to the playoffs first, right?
Can we get the playoffs first? That's all I got.
Has
all yours,
been Jalen Brunson, and I think he's already proven what he can do in the playoffs. So
no more than that, though.
I mean, he would be a difference maker if we go back to when we did make the playoffs 2 years ago, and we had a guy like Brunson. That would have been a difference maker in that series, I believe. You know what I mean? Because Rose did that, and he was effective and efficient. We needed more. We needed more than just Rose. So I think now we have two definitive guys that can do that, and maybe other people with the potential to step up. Maybe other people with the potential to kind of fit in and fill the other voids and roles. I think we get in the playoffs. I think it'll be better than the last time we were in the playoffs, and that doesn't even have to be us winning the series. I just think the competitiveness, how close the games are, the series outcome will all be better. It's not going to be a gentleman's sweep.
I think that depends on the matchup. I think that all depends on the matchup.
Always does.
Right. And it's okay to be optimistic about that. I think we definitely have to get to the playoffs first. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna have an MBK prediction for the season type of show. But I'm just gonna go ahead and spill my beans now. I think the Knicks will be somewhere around the 500 range, whether it be 2 games under, 2 games above, whatever. To me, that's all the same in my opinion. Getting into the play-in, whether it be 7, 8, 9, or 10, to me, it'll all be the same, because regardless, you still have to win either 1 game or 2 games to make it into the 7 or the 8 spot, right? And I think that's possible for this team. We're only talking about a couple games you got to win at the end of the season. So, depending on the matchup, if we have a favorable matchup, we can get into the 7 for the 8 seed after the play-in or whatever, right? The question is, how well would the Knicks be able to perform in the playoffs? And you're talking about going up against a Milwaukee, a Philly, a Boston, a Brooklyn, perhaps, right? A Miami in that first round series. So how the Knicks are going to be able to perform in that series? We have yet to see it. All those teams still have to play basketball games, but I mean, looks like a gentleman's sweep to me as of right now.
Yeah. And this is the thing.
I'm not even going there, Queen. We talking about gentlemen's sweeps already. What are we really doing here? Can we get the season started? Controversy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what a prediction. That's what a prediction is, right?
And she gave the scenario
There was no. What is your prediction? Question.
No, she gave the scenario though.
No, the scenario was, what do you think about the fast pace, and how that will help the team in the playoffs? And controversy jumped off the bridge.
I did jump off the bridge.
I'm sorry.
But real quick, I just want to say that I think pace does matter in the playoffs. And again, pace is not just running up and down the floor, playing in a transition. That's not what it is. If you look at Golden State, if you look at Boston, they're able to pass the ball effectively in the half court, finding the open man in the half court and knocking shots down in the half court, right? That's a part of pace as well. Possessions per game. You get up more shots, you're going to have more possessions. Right, so
you don't have to move the ball around to do that, Josh. One person can come in and shoot within 7 seconds, and it's still
exactly.
Really? But how effective is that? You talk about effectiveness all the time. It's not just about that.
Right. It's about hitting the shots. And I think the Knicks, you talked about this earlier. Do we have the personnel to play at a faster pace? I think it's the same shots. Whether you're taking them at 16 seconds in the game or you're taking them at 20 seconds in the game, it's the same shots. The question is, strategically, because I think that's what it was for the Knicks. They strategically played at a slower pace to keep the number of possessions per game at a certain point because they felt that gave them the best chance of winning for last year's team.
And that was and playing at a faster pace was one of the points of emphasis on Thibodeau. It was written on the board in practice. Playing at a faster pace, he was emphasizing it.
I think he wanted to do it, but it didn't translate. But I think some of it,
I think it was to minimize turnovers too, because we got sloppy when we was trying to. Like we tried to play with pace. We tried to move the ball. It wasn't good passes a lot of times. You know what I mean? Or the shot ended up not being a good shot. Whether it was open. When I say good, I don't mean he wasn't open. I mean the shot was ugly.
Right.
Yeah. I've definitely coached teams where I wanted to play a certain style, and I thought we had it, but when it came down to the games, it just didn't translate. So,
all right, we're gonna have to dial that back.
We're gonna have to make some adjustments, and I just think that this year, you have IQ and Toppin, year 3, more confident. You have you don't want to depend on controversy, Rose, healthy coming back. You also have a guy like Brunson, to the playoff question, who can help speed the pace on getting the ball up court, and also controls the pace when it's, to Tony's point he's mentioned several times tonight. All right, listen, we got to get a good shot. Hey, slow it up. And you need the person on the court doing that, not only the coach. And I think Brunson will absolutely add this modulation to the team.
The Knicks were middle of the pack in turnovers per game last season.
Yeah.
As far as the NBA is concerned.
Yeah. I just want to highlight this because I'm hearing this a lot, and this is not about you, Adrian, reality in general, but this is just for our fan base. The Knicks will win 45 plus games. You guys do not believe in this team. You guys are Knicks fans. Sure don't sound like it. This is what I'll say about NBK. And I don't know who's leading, Josh or me. You're not gonna get, we're gonna tell you what we believe about the team looking at the roster. So yes, we are fans, but we're also content creators. We've seen this team for a long time, as you guys have as well. And we delve into the stats as well. So yeah, you can't just look at the team and be like, oh, I'm a Knicks fan, we're gonna win 50 games. You got to look at the conference. You got to look at your team. You got to look at the, how we play. You got to do all of that. So you say 45 plus. I say around 41, 42. Josh say, 41, give or take, 2 games.
Tony's with you.
Yeah, we're all Knicks fans. We're all Knicks fans. Even if we don't have the Knicks winning 50 games, we're all Knicks fans. We're all Knicks fans.
What if I said, you think the Knicks are gonna win so many games? You must not be a Knicks fan because you're not realistic. What if I said that? Like,
right?
You're just a homer. You're not a Knicks fan. You're just a homer. What if I said that? That'd be
Listen,
crazy, right?
there are some podcasts I will turn to, and everybody's talking about, oh, we're gonna trade from Giannis, and we're gonna give up quickly and 2 second-round picks, and I gotta keep it moving. I can't, listen. So it works both ways. You got to try to be level-headed. I know it's our team, and we're rooting for them, and this is an optimistic part of the season because we haven't played not one regular season game. But at the same time, we have to be, realistic. Do I see a path for the 6th seed? I see a path. A lot of things would have to break right. But I do see that path. But we shall see.
I just got a question. Can you be optimistic and a realist at the same time? Because that's how I would consider myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that this team could finish a couple of games under 500, and I would be a little disappointed, but not terribly surprised. I think this team could win 46, 48 games, and I would be a little bit surprised, but not shocked. You know what I mean? So I think this team, there's definitely, a space that the team is at where it's really hard to determine. Like you can't say like dead ass lottery team, but you can't just like off the cuff just say, oh no, this is without a doubt a top 5, top 16. There's a lot of room in the middle there, in my humble opinion.
Right. And let me ask this last question. What if Randle doesn't find his way in his offense? Does that have an impact on how many wins we have or no?
Depends on how Tibbs adjusts.
Yo, this
Like,
to me that's what this season is all about. What Tibbs does. That's what this season is all about. Because to forget about Randle, not playing well, the minutes, whatever. This is the year, Randle, you pounding the ball, you getting crazy. Yo, is he gonna sit down, Randle, and be like, yo, listen, that's not what we're doing tonight? Is he gonna do that? Is he going to do that?
And even if he does, is whoever comes in, are they going to do what they need to do? You know what I mean? So I just think that there's some few question marks with this offense. This is my concern with this offense. It's great that we're a very deep team, but when you look at the playoff teams, the teams that were in the playoff, they were top heavy. They were top heavy. They had that guy. Some of them had 2 of them. You know what I mean? We don't. We are, we're banking on chemistry. We're banking on everybody showing up every day, playing on a string defensively. That's what we are banking on. And I've seen teams win at a high level like that, like the Detroit Pistons back in the early 2000s. But for the most part, if we're talking about getting past the first round, it's going to be hard to do without that guy, in my opinion.
Can I ask a rhetorical question to the group, to the panel?
Mm-hmm.
Last season, do you think the bench unit, the bulk of them, majority, because people get injured, people go in and out. Do you think the majority of the bench unit played better overall than the starters?
Depends, because that's a trick question. Our bench ended up being decimated all season. So are you counting guys moving up as still bench players, or are they now starters? Because you know what I mean. Like, so I think the quick answer is really no, but the reasoning would because our bench was decimated. Our bench didn't get to play the way it was constructed to play. It had to be reconstructed.
And that's also a question that's relative to the teams that you're playing against, because ultimately, at the end of the day, who you're going up and who you're matching up against is having an impact on your performance level. So you got teams where the Knicks are getting blown out and you're down by 25 and the bench players are coming in. Yeah, I mean, they may look, wow, why is this guy not playing more? Well, yeah, he's scoring when the team's down by 20 with 4 minutes left. No pressure. And that goes back to this whole thing with Toppin. Like, I love him and I want to see him excel, but until you've done it when the heat is on and the pressure's on, and people are consistently game planning for you, game in and game out. It's a whole lot different when you playing 15 minutes a game.
So last season,
Your point, Josh.
huh?
Yeah. No, what was the point you were trying to make with the question? It's hard for me to answer that because the bench was all over the place. They became starters because of the injuries.
So the three primary players in the Knicks lineup last season, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and Fournier, right? Four of those guys, right? They all started at least 62 games. All of them. Evan Fournier started 80. Randall started 70, and I think RJ started 72, although I might have that flipped or whatever.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the bench unit going into the starting lineup wasn't as overwhelming as I think y'all making it seem. I think for the most part, the Knicks had the same starting lineup for the majority of the season. They didn't have a multitude of starting lineups out there, right? I say that question to say this. I think the bench unit did outplay the starters last season for the most part. I think that they did. If you watch, going through the games, the runs, the stretches, and things of that nature. But the bench didn't play the majority of the minutes, or they didn't play the same amount of minutes as the starters.
This is a gang of controversy because if you put those bench players against the opposition players that the starters are playing against, and you gave that bench team the opportunity to get spanked the way the starters were getting spanked, it might be different. But they're playing against the bench players, bro.
Again, I'm not going to be hypothetical about what we don't know. What I do know is that the starters were getting spanked, right? And that the bench unit deserved to be on the floor more. They deserved.
We had G leaguers moving up, getting playing time. We had like that. The bench wasn't even stable. The bench was rotating.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, throughout the season. So that's why it's a tough question to answer.
But listen, I get it. Like if you're saying that our starting unit against starters didn't play as well as our bench unit against other bench units, I could agree with that.
But if you're saying,
I could agree with that. But if you're saying you're going to take those bench units and put them up against starters and they would play as well, I don't know. I mean,
the whole point, the whole reason why I bring that up is because, like, people look at the Knicks roster currently as constructed right now, and they say, "Oh, the Knicks are a deep team, right? They're deep. They can do this, they can do that." Right. I think the key for the Knicks is going to be consistency, right? Throughout the course of the season. Obviously, injuries are going to happen. But, I think last year, for the most part, if you look at our starting unit, most of those guys really didn't get hurt. We're only talking about the point guard position for the most part, right? Tibbs needs to maximize the best unit on the floor. That group of players, they need to be on the floor for the majority of the time because it's not going to be like, even distribution of minutes between the starters and the bench players. There's probably going to be one bench player, a six man, that's going to get, probably up there with some of the starters' minutes. But outside of that, like it's going to be a huge disparity between the starters and the bench players. And I think that starting group or whatever group that's out there on the floor needs to be playing the most minutes together. That goes back to what you were saying, Queen, about being top heavy and maximizing the talent that you have on this roster.
But there's no way to know that until they've played a few games together and you're able to get the stats, the stats of different lineups together. And as the time goes on, make the adjustments as they need to be, made. I mean, I think this all goes back to our margin for victory is slim. And that's why everything has to be maximized. Our bench has to be maximized. The starters have to play well. Our defense have to be on point. We got to shoot better. This year, Tibbs got to be on point with the rotations. And it's true. It's true. And some of it is us, but some of it is just how deep the Eastern Conference is. That's it. If this was any other year, if this was 3 years ago, we're talking something totally different.
Right.
But in that time that we've went to the playoffs until now, the Eastern Conference has really gotten that much better.
Big facts.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's out of the equation. We're not talking about enough. Just how deep this Eastern Conference is with good teams. All right, let's just talk about. We play Indiana next week, Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, Wednesday in Indiana, and then we play Friday. So all of this stuff, when we get into the regular season, that would be pertinent. The last 10 games, conference standings, how we played against them this season, offensive, defensive rating. But for a preseason game, none of that is applicable. Indiana is 1-1. They beat Charlotte. They lost to us. I believe they may play tonight. I know for sure Washington, who's 0-2, plays tonight. I believe they play Charlotte. Anything you're looking to see in these next two games from either us team wise or player wise?
I'll consider Indiana a true test, considering game 2 against them. You would expect them to come in and make some adjustments. So let's see how we adjust to their adjustments. And I think obviously they're a better team. Like I stated when we played them the first time, it was the test of playing a better team than the first game. But again, I still put it as a good test to see where we are, because they're going to come in with adjustments. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And then I'm on the fence with Washington. I don't know what they're going to be. I expect us to be a better team than them, but I'm not sure if they're a better team than Indiana or not. I think they have the potential to be. They should be, but I don't know. But all in all, it's more tests. At that point, I think we'll know what the rotation is game 4, like definitively. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
I think the next game against Indiana is going to be much more of a test than the previous one. It's the first road game of the preseason. I know and it's the only road game of the preseason, so I expect that to be a little bit tougher for us. But I do think the Knicks are going to continue doing what they're doing in the preseason, continue to move the ball, push the basketball, push the pace, particularly in the half court. I think the scoring output probably will be the same. If there's one thing I'm going to see them improve on, though, it's transition defense. We didn't play that good in transition defense the last game. A lot of easy baskets. Tibbs called them early timeouts, early in the first quarter, and also in the third quarter to kind of stop their momentum and stop their runs. So I expect them to try to improve on that. And I think Washington, the game against DC, that's going to be a test run for the regular season. Tibbs is going to maximize whatever rotations he's going to use in the regular season, particularly if you have a healthy Grimes back, healthy Fournier. He's going to maximize that. And I don't think the end of the roster guys are going to get much playing time during that game. So I think Indiana is probably going to be the biggest audition vice DC on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is like game 3 of the NFL season, the Indiana game. That's like, again, it's like the last game. Before the last game in NFL preseason, you're probably going to put your starters the most minutes, that kind of thing. And the Washington game, you're probably going to see the backups playing the majority of the minutes. Second and third stringers playing more minutes than starters. And I don't know, Washington, Indiana, these are non-playoff teams to me. I'm not really taking much away from these games. I'm just hoping everybody stays healthy and, somebody dunks on Porzingis.
Well, I'm looking. Josh talked about our transition defense, but our perimeter defense didn't look that great to me the last game. Players got into the lane a lot. We were in rotation a lot, so I'm looking to see how our team defense is coming along. I'm looking to see, if we're still playing with pace, getting into that habit. This team is not that much different than last year, and they played pretty slow. And sometimes when you come up against good teams and resistance, and you kind of revert back. So I'm looking to see if we continue to push the pace. I'm looking to see Obi Toppin, and again, and when I'm looking at Obi, I'm not even looking at his stats.
Right.
I'm just looking at, his defense, his team defense, his pick and roll defense. Is he putting the ball on the floor? Does he know where he's supposed to be? Like, that's what's encouraging for me, not the stats. I'm looking for Randle. Is he finding his way in this offense? Cam Reddish, Is he going to put together, a decent game and try to, make a late bid to, to be in the rotation? And Grimes played in that practice. And from what I understand, Tip said he practiced again today. So I'm looking forward to seeing him Wednesday as well with a few more practices underneath his belt. Yeah, Tony.
In addition to the rotation kind of being set within the next game and definitely by the last game, the minutes as well. So if you notice, our starters were playing around 18 minutes in these two games. I expect that to definitely go up. And I forget who said it in the chat, but he said no mention of Mitchell Robinson. So I definitely want to
Yes,
shout him out. 10 points, 9 rebounds, 18 minutes.
Yep.
So
five of them defensive.
5 of them defensive. So easy double for Mitch in a regular minute game. So yeah, shout out to Mitch and
we're gonna need that.
I think the minutes will definitely we'll get a better sense of who's gonna get what amount of minutes moving forward. Injury, barring injury.
Okay.
Grimes time. Hello.
All right. Any last words before we get out of here? Or anything you guys have coming up?
Yeah, I want to shout out to. I want to say the brother's name is Vaughn. Is there a Vaughn that has a show or that's often in the chat?
I'm not sure.
There's definitely a Vaughn from the chat. I don't know if he has content or not, but
Shout to Vaughn. I did an event Saturday. He was like, "Yo, DJ Shuttle, nothing but Knicks." I was like, "Yo, no doubt." He's like, "Yo, 1 2 1 2." So nothing but Knicks. We outside. You know what I'm saying? we outside. You know what I'm saying? And so shout to him. I definitely got some things coming up. Still Mill Friday, October 28th. Big cigar costume event in Brooklyn. No cover. Great event. Want to invite everybody to come out to that. Still Mills on Bushwick and in Brooklyn. And yeah, man, if you're in Brooklyn, you're in Brooklyn, pop out on the kid.
What day is it again?
Friday the 28th.
Oh, I'll be out of New York.
It's the week after the game, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Halloween weekend. Queen ain't gonna mess with New York on Halloween.
Nah, I'll be down south at that time for the winter. So
okay.
I don't know. I doubt I could get back-to-back weekends off, but if I do got a costume, so I'll pop out.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm coming with the referee jersey and the whistle. So we be blowing that whistle all night. If I see any flagrant fouls out there on the dance floor, I'm gonna be calling them out. You heard?
Shuttle so official. What he need is a whistle, right?
So official with the whistle,
Right. So for me next week, I'll be here, every week during the Queen's Court on Tuesday on my channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Every Tuesday, we'll be moving to Thursday, but we'll keep you updated. For now, it's every Tuesday. We're doing the Just Kicking It, or as I like to say, Just Nicking It weekly series. And then every morning at 8 a.m. after the Knicks play, I give my recap, maybe about 40, 45 minutes the next day after. So, stop by for that. I put the link in the chat. I'm not sure why it's not highlighted. So copy and paste. Y'all know what to do.
I'm an early riser, Steph. If I'm allowed, I may join you one of those mornings soon.
Oh yeah, definitely welcome. All right, we are out of here.